Hi, thank you for tuning in for this video. I'm going to teach you how to make a rose petal cascade. I'm calling them the Petals Cascade earrings. They're made with Czech rose petals. These little beads are super cool. They're like a little, let me hold up a pair for you to show you up close, or a bag of them, sorry. Um, there are just so many colors. I think Jill has like at least a dozen, maybe more colors in store right now. And they're front drilled, which as bead weavers, we might find tricky to use. But that said, the possibilities are also there to come up with something new and different and unique. To use a bead that is just very, very fun and very cool, very versatile. So, of the many ideas that they will give you when you get these beads are just the idea of them just kind of cascading down in a really cool way. And so I'm going to try to make it more visible for you guys to see these earrings. But aren't they neat? I'll give you a better view on the mat close up here in a second, but I just wanted to show you how cool they look when you're wearing them. They reflect a lot of these petal colors. They have this gorgeous reflective surface. Some of them are like, the volcano and the slipperette finishes, all those Czech finishes that you love. But there's so many. And then there's also the possibility to ombre, which I just thought of now after having made both of the pairs for this video. But I mean, how cool would it be? Let me show you really quick one of those ideas. A lot of the shades of these petals kind of flow into each other. And so you could do a little ombre on like this one. Look at the way this flows into like a copper to gold to white. That could be like a sun-kissed beach-going bronze. Wow. I mean, that is just beautiful. So let's dive in. Let's head to the mat, and I will show you how these are constructed. They're basically just a very, very easy SuperDuo chain. You start to string the SuperDuos into a chain using a basic ladder stitch, and then you just flow right back up the chain, adding petals as you go, weaving in ear wire, and you're done. So they're just a really, really, really fun way to use those petals, and you can make different lengths and try a bunch of different ideas. And so let's get started. All right, so here is an up close version of the earrings. And as you can see, they are a little chain of cascading petals. These beautiful Czech rose petal flowers are so fun to play with. And because they're front drilled, the suspension required generates a lot of creativity. And so in this case, what I did is I created this SuperDuo chain. And so here's an up close view of that. And I used SuperDuo as the base, and it also kind of makes them have a lot of motion because this chain is completely flexible. It can bend and become a lot of different shapes. So I feel like there's places we could take this design beyond earrings. My mind is still kind of processing ideas for that. And sometimes to me, it looks like a little tail. It just kind of looks like a foxtail or something. I don't know. There's something silly. But I'm going to make so many colors. I have a dozen ideas for colorways. And for this video, I thought I would move to a darker colorway so I can use a darker thread and make it nice and visible for you to see the tutorial. And so I grabbed some seed beads in this really cool pine green. I mean, but you just can't go wrong with any colors you want. Just grab whatever colors you've got handy, whatever petals you like that you like the most, and then just match or contrast a SuperDuo. I was actually kind of torn with the color here. I wanted to go a little crazy and maybe even do a bright yellow. I think I need to at least do a version like that, but I'll start with something a little more just more matchy in the case of this one. So there's my 11 seed beads, which I'll need kind of more toward the bottom of the chain. And let me just move these so we can get started. And here's my SuperDuo beads. I'm going to need those right away. And petals, I'm just going to set the petals over here for now. We'll get those out in a second. You are going to need your finding right at the start. These come in sets of 4. I've already used the first 2 on my other earrings. But here's my next set. And I'm going to go ahead and just keep this other one aside for my pair. So for thread, you can start with about 35 inches of Fireline, and you can kind of go with a wingspan if you'd like. That'll give you a little more, but I think I measured it out earlier, and I was having leftovers even when I started with 40. So about that much. I'm going to trim and get a beading needle ready. And there we go. Just string that beading needle on there. fold over a little bit so that it's easy to work with. And to get started, we're going to pick up a SuperDuo bead. So just string one of your SuperDuos. Let me just move these for focus. There you go. So you've got one SuperDuo bead. Leave about a 7-inch tail. We're just going to weave that in later. So 7 inches is a nice amount to give you maneuverability with your needle. And going through one side, you're going to turn and just head through the other side. And if you want to, you can pull your tail and working thread apart just to kind of tighten that on the edge. And I do recommend matching your thread color to your SuperDuo. Now I'm preferring Fireline for this stitch for the strength of the chain, but if you were working with a different thread, I do believe it would still work. It would just be a little more advanced tension wise. I feel like Firelines and the thicker threads kind of make it easier to make things strong and make things kind of pop in place. So as a beginner, I always kind of prefer to recommend the Firelines, but I do think this will work with 1G KO. I feel like it would still work. So feel free to try that if you really want your thread to like blend nicely with your SuperDuo bead. But so I've got this one strung like that. And in the PDF and the diagram, you'll see that from here, I went ahead and added the finding just by stringing it. And then take a look here on your SuperDuo bead. We're going to go back through the top hole. So we're exiting right here from the one that's wiggling. We're going to go back through top hole of the SuperDuo, just like that. And this will bring the finding to sit right there adjacent. And don't worry if when you tighten it, it moves from side to side. We're going to be coming along and reinforcing this a bunch of times, and eventually it will suspend just like that. And I'll show you how that works. But from here, what we're going to do is go right back through just one more time. So we're exiting from the top hole of the SuperDuo. We're going to go back through the finding. And then again, go through the SuperDuo from the opposite side. So another circle, basically. We're just making a whole circle here. And so you'll have that, and it might still be a little loose, don't worry. Go ahead and tighten it at the spot by pulling on the working side of the thread, and now make a turn and go through the bottom hole of the SuperDuo. And in this case, you're going to be heading through the SuperDuo from the side that your tail thread is coming out. And this is actually really handy. I'll show you in just a sec for why. Pull that through. I'm going to tighten it here, and it's going to curl up on me a little bit. That's okay. As we get our chain built, this all evens out. So far we have that. And again, don't worry if it's shifting from side to side. It's going to get better as we go. So from here, I like to hold the piece, just hold it like that. Pick up another SuperDuo bead and go back from the tail side through to the other side. So this is the side I'm exiting. And always we're going to be making a loop. We're going back through the side opposite to the one that our thread is exiting. So for the whole ladder stitch that we're doing ladder stitch basically, that's what we're going to be doing. All right, and so we're going to just continue through the top hole of the bead we just added, and then go ahead and go through the bottom hole of the SuperDuo you just added. And pull tight. And so far, what you'll have is this little chain starting to form. And it should look something like that. So let's repeat that a few times. We're going to have a total of 8 SuperDuo, if you like this length, which is about 2 inches of beaded length, the finished earrings that I just showed. So here's another SuperDuo. Go through from the opposite side of your exiting thread and pull that tightly. It doesn't have to be too tight. You'll get something that looks wonky like that for a second. No worries. Go through the other side of the one we just added, top hole. And now you'll have that. And now turn and head through the bottom. All right. So each time I add one, it'll have one side, you'll have 2 thread passes, and on the other side, you'll have the joining, the one that's jumping over the side. And when we come back up to add the petals, it'll crisscross back the other direction. So there's 3, here's number 4. And let's just do all 8 together. I might speed up just a little bit. But think of this as just ladder stitch with a jump to the other hole of the bead. And kind of serendipitously, as you do this jump, and you just kind of pull to tighten, it keeps everything in a nice little row. Not sure how it works, but I like it. And so here's another one. Grab the next bead, looping around. We'll go through that bead there. Just a good old ladder stitch. There's that one. You could always tighten it. It's all tightenable as you're working. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Sorry about that. Let me get my seed beads are jumping. There's 5. Here's number 6. And here's the thread. Move into the other hole of that SuperDuo. So there's 6 in total. Here's number 7. There we go. And using your fingers as a tension aid, holding them like that, I kind of find myself doing that as I'm adding these ladders. Each one that I'm laddering, I'm just kind of holding onto the former set. So just like that. Just pull that through. This is our 8th one. Sorry, my thread's hooking on my board there. There we go. And back through. And I think at this spot, I am kind of pinching the beads a little bit. I don't know if that's required. It's just something I find myself doing. It kind of helps a little bit. There we go. There's that. And we'll turn and head through in that direction. All right. So there's our beautiful SuperDuo chain. We have our finding here at the top. And we're ready to go on to the next step, which is to add our first petal. So let's get our petal beads out, and then the seed beads are already here ready for me. We don't need SuperDuos anymore. We can push those aside. Let's get our petal beads. And you'll need, let's see, you need a total of 30. So there's 15 on each earring. I'm just going to dump out a bunch. And I'm going to start by picking up 3 seed beads, a petal bead, and I'm going to string this petal bead from its front side. The front side is the bowl side. So there's the back side, right? That said, it's going to look beautiful even if you don't do that. It's just if that's important to you to have one side facing. In this case, for this step, we're stringing from front side to back side. That's going to switch after this, so keep that in mind. And that is, of course, only if you really want one side versus the other to be front or back. And that's not a requirement. It'll work regardless. But we string 3 11-0, a petal, 3 11-0, and then ladder back through that last SuperDuo bead, and you'll get this little loop. So just like that. And that right there is pretty. I would pop that on and wear that just like that. A bit minimalist, but I'm going to reinforce everything we just did by going back through the 3 seed beads, the petal, 3 seed beads, and then back through the SuperDuo bead. All right, and so now you'll have your little petal suspended there. And it'll have lots of sway to it. It can wiggle. Really beautiful. You'll notice here that as we're heading out from this SuperDuo bead, that this petal is facing forward. So it's open, bowl side is facing this way. From here on, we're going to string from the reverse side of each petal if it's important to have that facing forward for you. Which isn't a requirement, but it's just what I did on mine. So now I'm going to string from the back side to the front side. Reason being is it's going to lay right here. Watch as we slide it down. See, it's going to pop right on the front like that. It's going to hang right in just a little bit above the other one. And the seed beads below it are going to make it kind of fan out a little bit. For just this first one, the first one as we work up the chain, you're going to string an additional 3 seed beads after stringing the petal. So petal, 3 seed beads. And then take a look, we're exiting from the bottom hole of the bottom SuperDuo. We're going to skip the top hole of that SuperDuo and go through the bottom hole of the next one. And this is unique just for this one. I played with this a lot and found that that suspension was the prettiest. For whatever reason, the bottom one just looked better like that. Now for the rest of them, as we go up the chain, we're not going to skip SuperDuo holes anymore. And additionally, we're only going to use 2 11-0 instead of the 3. So start with your petal bead. And again, you're going to want to string it from the reverse side. So your needle's coming out the front. And pick up 2 seed beads this time. And work into the chain. Go to the next hole in the SuperDuo. So in this case, it's going to be the top hole of the one I'm exiting. So pull there. You'll get that. And now string from back to front again. The next petal, grab 2 more seed beads. And in this case, our next hole is the bottom of the next SuperDuo. Because see, in this case, we're coming out of the top hole of the second SuperDuo. We want to go through the bottom hole of the next one. So we're not going to skip holes anymore. Just treat them like a chain, like you're just going through a chain. So you're getting these pretty little branches as we go. So let's carry on like that. We just need to repeat it all the way to the top. We'll have a total, including the bottom one, of 15 petals. String from the back, 2 seed beads, exiting from this one, go through the top hole of the next one. I'm sorry about that. I was going through the wrong one at first there. I want to go through the very, very next hole. Sometimes that will be the top hole, and sometimes it will be the bottom of the next one, just depending where you're exiting. But in every case, you get this beautiful little tree branching effect. All right, and so here's going from back to front and 2 seed beads. Taking a look here. I'm going to go through the bottom. Let's finish that together. I'm going to speed up just a little. And let's go all the way to the top. 1, 1 more. Here we go. Oops, I only want 2 on there. And there we go. Here's 2 more. Chasing seed beads. Okay. Just being very mindful to not skip one by accident. I do think you'll see it in the moment. I notice when I do that, it doesn't quite reach without the thread having some space. So you'll probably see it if you accidentally go one hole too high on any of these step ups, but I'm still making an effort to watch out for it. Here we go. There's the reverse side, and here's 2 more beads. And heading through the bottom hole of the top SuperDuo here. And notice we're going to cross our tail thread. And just ignore that for now. You can pull it tightly if you'd like to. I need one more petal. I didn't dump out enough petals. Oops, sorry about that. Now I'm throwing petals everywhere. Here's one more. And two. And you're going to head through the top hole of the last SuperDuo, which is the top one there. All right. So the earring is finished. We just need to weave in. And the way that this earring is going to suspend on the ears, when you're wearing it, you're going to see this side. And we're going to put a jump ring here and an ear wire at the top so it suspends that way. But getting ahead of myself, we got to weave in still. So from here, probably you'll want to reinforce the connection with the top maybe one more time. It's up to you if you want to. I did on mine. So I just exiting from this top one here, went ahead and made another trip back through. Just like that. And now I'm going to head back into the work. So through the SuperDuo chain, be careful not to loop and capture any of your beautiful petal suspensions. And you'll notice also at this step that you'll meet your tail thread. Now on mine, I wasn't tying knots, but I know a lot of folks might feel more secure if they do. And I think it's okay to do so. I would just say be mindful that when you tie this knot here, it's going to make it really difficult to get back through that SuperDuo if for a reason you wanted to weave back up there. And also you're going to want to be mindful of your tension. You want it to be dangly. So to tie a knot, I would just make very gentle tension with that knot. So here's one. You don't want to make it too tight. And then also keep in mind that the tail thread was exiting from that bead in the same direction as my working thread is currently heading. So they're going to have to weave in kind of in the same direction with each other. So I'll come back and bring that through with another needle in a minute here. And there we go. Just making sure that tail's not captured. So weave down through 3 or 4 repeats of beadwork here. So there's one. Well, that was actually 2. And then if you want to, you can go through some of the petal connections. I didn't do that on mine, but you could. I don't think it would hurt anything. Just another place to weave in. I'm just trying to get around my petals without capturing them with my thread loops. Okay, so that was about 4 turns. Another way you can make turns is by going back the other direction. And sorry, I didn't mean to hit the camera there. There we go, a little wobbly. All right, so back through. You can also do that as another locking turn. From here, if you have a burner handy, go ahead and use a burner. If you're using maybe some flush cutters for Fireline, both of those methods work really well. I like the burner because it does kind of act like, I wouldn't call it glue, but it does kind of make it stay put a little better. So I'll go ahead and just quick little burn there on one side. And then I do need to move the tail down through at least a few beads before I trim it. So I'm going to do that. Just thread our needle here. And in this case, you know what? I think I'll go through a petal with this one just to kind of go a different direction. So I'm not overlapping my other threads so much. So maybe I'll go this way. Oops, sorry about that. Might be easier to get through them this way. Usually I don't show weaving in, but I feel like this one, it's helpful to see because there's not a lot of spots to go. And so I want to show exactly what I did. And that might be an okay place to trim it. It's nice and accessible too. It can get in there easy. So when you're working with a burner, just kind of make sure you don't accidentally hit your other threads. They're all structural there. All right. So there's your beautiful earring. I did that all in one take because I wanted you to see how easy and how quick and how pretty this is. Let me grab some ear wires and a jump ring really quick, and I'll show you putting it together. And I'll need to finish the pair, and we'll have another gorgeous pair there. All right, so here really quick, I just whipped up the second earring, and now I'm going to pop the ear wire on. I wanted to show one more thing that I forgot to mention when I was making the first one, and that is that if you'd like to take a quick look at the earring for front versus back side, it doesn't matter too much, but if you'll notice the way we finished the earring, one of the sides has the petals coming up right to the finding, and on the other side, I didn't complete that one last connection. Now you could put a petal here and two more seed beads. I tried that and it tended to make the finding not stay in plane with the SuperDuo. But that could just be my issue with tension. I was gonna suggest if you wanted to try that, you could. So you would just, from here where we left off, we reinforced the finding. You could also string another petal and two more seed beads and connect. I'm wondering if perhaps there's a height differential between the finding and the SuperDuo that is different than the rest of the suspension here, and that could be why. But all of that said, I just made this the front, and I made that the back. So when I'm wearing it, that's the front right there. So in order to make that happen, when I put on my jump ring, what I'm going to do is just make sure that my ear wire is front facing this direction when I put it on. And then just close that the jump ring. Close the jump ring up. You could also put the jump ring on first and then put the ear wire on if that is tricky to visualize. Sometimes I get it wrong and have to redo it, like a lot actually. But let's see if I got it that time. Looks like I did. So there we go. That worked out. So let's try it on. I'm just going to pop the earrings in and see. Here we go. One side. And the other one. Aren't these cool? I mean, these are really cool. You could make them longer. They would be super statement if we made them longer. But check out how they hang. They're really nice. I really like the way they just look like a little April showers of petals just raining down from your ears, and they're just really fun. So, and they come together quickly so you can make a pair for everyone. And it would be just a nice bestie gift that you could give out for the summer and for spring. Little spring break earrings. I just love the way they look. So, yeah, definitely. If you make some of these, I hope you will. Post them in Jill Wiseman's Facebook group, and I'll be looking for them. I'm so excited to see what you guys create. Here's the other pair again. Beautiful little petals. Thanks so much for watching this video, and I hope you enjoy shopping for rose petal Czech glass beads and SuperDuo beads and matching 11Os. All right, see you for the next one. Bye for now.